Marathon Server Slam is finally over, and it has been rather underwhelming. I managed to spend about an hour and a half playing it while it was open, and it was a game. I can 100% confirm that. And I would put it as an unironic 7 out of 10 in most categories, with exception to a few very major points. When it comes to the UI, it's just garbage. I think they did a really, really terrible job in building that whole thing out. And the fact that they even recognize this is still an issue and they're still going to launch with it is really disappointing given the amount of time that they've had to actually work on this game. The gunplay itself is fine if you can find the ammo. I understand that for people that are going to be playing this more consistently, they're going to get their economy of bullets down to where they've got what they actually need to go into their rounds. So it's not really a fair critique, I feel, from someone that's coming into it just from the very beginning where you're expected to have next to nothing. Heat meter had a lot of complaints of that I saw in the alpha. It's still there. It's still rather an unimpressive mechanic that they've put in there. And man, I would say one of the most jarring things that I found for the entire game is whenever I would look and see another character that has one of the more uniqueness of Marathon that they've put in there. Keep in mind, this is a game where they want you to buy skins. And you want to get attached to these characters so you want to buy the skins. But all the characters look ugly as sin. So I'm not sure exactly how they are going to get a mass market of people that are willing to play these really ugly characters and then actually spend money to make them just a different shade of ugly. Like, I could understand if a lot of the visuals and skins that we saw were those like defaults were things that you could buy, and then you were an otherwise pretty generic looking person, maybe with some kind of cybernetics, more in the vein of Cyberpunk 2077. But that's not what we get. We get some really bad art, is what I would say. Now, what I found, I think, most disappointing is when I actually went through the initial part of the game, and we had that whole, there's like a massive cutscene that plays, and it actually seems like the world itself could be very interesting for a single player game. Like, there would be a lot there where I would say, okay, I could totally be okay and like forgive a lot of the weird design choices if it was an interesting story. But the fact that this is just like a pretty generic extraction shooter that's coming out, there's just no part of me that wants to go in and then grind out match after match after match to learn this world. And if you are someone that wants to do that, more power to you. I'm happy if you enjoy it. But something that I think everyone can look at, and it's important to think of this, is with Marathon, Bungie, Sony paid over $3.5 billion to purchase Bungie. This needs to be a home run. I've seen some people estimating they need anywhere from like 7 to 11 million copies sold of this game, which, even if we were to just say 3 or 4, I don't know. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to get it. This is the same company that's been driving Destiny 2 into the ground. They've basically locked content that people that have paid for so that you just can't access it anymore. Their stewardship of live service games, their track record of it is abominable. And if you are someone that's looking at getting into a game, like an extraction shooter game, more likely than not, you're playing Arc Raiders already. Arc Raiders still has very fantastic numbers. It didn't even really see much of a dip during the server slam, which I assume people that were playing Arc Raiders were at least willing to try it, at least a number of them. And when we look at the server slam numbers, we do see the numbers go down over time, but it's hard to say if they go down over time because people are going to be playing the actual release version. There are some that'll insist that, oh, well, if you look at the daily sales, it's higher up on the Steam chart because that's one of the only things we can use to measure the metrics of it. But that's not really a great indicator. We saw the same with Dragon Age of Veilguard, and that basically killed the whole studio. And in the case of Marathon here, this really needs to be Arc Raiders level successful for Bungie, because I'm pretty sure Sony hasn't been getting their like monthly money spent on the studio back from like what they are actually getting from their live service games right now. And they need to recoup over $3 billion from this game. They really need this to be a titanic financial success, and it's just unimpressive. There are some people that really like the art style, and if you like the art style, great, but it's really off-putting to a lot of people. It seems to be, from the various folks that I've talked to, and I talked to a lot of artists, that it's very much like a coin flip, whether someone's going to say, oh, I think it's really unique and I really find it interesting and it's I like the art style, versus folks like me that look at it and think, wow, this is super ugly. Like, so much of this is super ugly. The world's looking way better now that they've actually added textures and like removed all the plagiarism. Though, I mean, I would say the plagiarism kind of made it look a lot nicer. But even with all those extra things added, it's just not a very good looking game, in my opinion. And when you have such a divisive art style with a game that is expecting you to sink in a tremendous amount of time, are you going to be able to reach the numbers that you want, get people to start buying skins for these ugly characters? And I just don't see it happening. Now, I don't think we're going to see Concord level failure of 2 weeks. I don't think we're going to see a High Guard level failure of 45 days. I could imagine that this goes and it fails maybe in a year, because if it's not getting its money back or generating enough revenue, it's going to hit a point where Sony's going to have to look at the studio and say, is this worth it to have it on the balance sheet? If they're just treading water, sure, they could probably last a while longer, but if a company is consistently incapable of delivering these hits, and it's a big company even after all the layoffs, can we expect this company to be given another game to build and be successful? And if Marathon is not that home run that they're looking for, I could see them cutting almost everyone out of Bungie and just leaving small live service teams to basically maintain these products, or sell the whole IP to someone else. Be like, hey, China, do you want, like, I know High Guard didn't work out for you, but would you like Bungie and Marathon and that IP? Will that happen? I don't know. I don't think it's going to fail immediately. I do expect it to fail. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe they're actually going to get enough people to convert out of Destiny 2 that are interested in an extraction shooter out of Bungie. Maybe they're able to get some level of people peeled off that found Arc Raiders uninteresting and are more interested in an Art Raiders style game. We'll find out soon. The game should be out tomorrow, and we should be able to see kind of like the initial full release metrics come this weekend, and that we can extrapolate from SteamDB and to figure out exactly how successful this has been. If they're able to hit Arc Raiders numbers, great. Good on them. They've succeeded in what they're trying to do. But if they can't, if they end up hitting what they were doing near the end of the server slam with like $50,000, $60,000 or 60,000 concurrent players, this game is probably dead in the water. They will keep it around for a while because Sony loves throwing money away. But I don't know. I'm a betting man. I'm betting against it, but we will see soon. But that's all for me. Thank you for your time. Farewell.